while top players can up to 100,000, most players receive between 5,000 to 25,000 a season.
You wouldn't get out of bed for that.
Oh, mate, I wouldn't.
This is absolutely Essendon. It's our off-season ramblings. We're going to cover quite a few items that are swirling around the ether. First and foremost, of course, is Trade Week. Well, we might even look at those membership prices that have gone up recently, and that caused quite a stir amongst the faithful and even the faithless. Might even touch on some goings-on in Bali, perhaps, maybe. We'll see how we go.
Trips.
So,
is that what you're talking about?
Yes, well, no.
Footy trips to Bali?
It's side hustles.
More like players leaving Bali, isn't it?
Anyway, and a whole bunch of other random stuff.
Yeah, So I've got a really special... I'm going to give you my forecast for the best 23, our best 23,
right,
for round one next season.
Is that right?
I'm going to do that. I'm going to add that. You can jump in on that fun if you want.
I would love to.
Our best 23, because I think it's worth hanging around for that one.
Right. Okay. But to kick off,
are we going to talk about the AFLW too, by chance? I think we might need to.
Yeah, well, you know what? They are on a bit of a roll, aren't they?
Well, our girls are doing wonderfully well.
They are. They are.
You know, the game against the Western Bulldogs the other day was a fantastic game. I think we won 3 goals. 3 or something to 3 behind. I think there were more goals scored between China and Australia in the World Cup qualifier, but who's counting?
No.
Okay. The girls are doing incredibly well.
Yeah.
Maddie and Georgia and Bonnie, they're all absolutely firing down there, and I hope the boys are watching for some inspiration.
Yeah, they are. They are wearing the red and black with aplomb. But first of all, let's kick off because the trade week period, the window has slammed shut after a flurry of phone calls, paperwork, all came down to the last minute, quite like my homework in high school.
Yeah.
And there's an argument really that the 2 weeks is totally unnecessary, that can all be done really in 3 or 4 hours. But the AFL, in their wisdom, they love a show.
I think it's stage managed, right? The deals have actually been done a week or so beforehand, and everyone just goes home and reads the paper, and they all come in on that final day and just turn it into a bit of a media event. But
like a good Christopher Nolan movie, they just like to pad it out unnecessarily.
Sure, I think Christopher Nolan's a little better than the AFL Trade Week, but
what did you make? Did we win? Did we win? Were we victorious? Because we have form in the Trade Week period. We always do really well. Yeah, really well.
People are already saying, bring Dodoro back. We are perennial winners of Trade Week. We have trophies to recognise our success at Trade Week. And this time around, I don't think we kind of won it this time. I think we did okay. But it was Matt Rosa's first experience of running the show on his own without Adrian leaning all over him.
It was. Excuse me, I'm getting up. I'm not doing the walkout so early in the season.
Is there a problem?
I need some aircon.
Okay. Well, it does get very hot in the studio.
Because, the hot air...
I don't think this has ever happened before. Actually, this could be my opportunity to do it solo and see how that goes.
Give it a go.
Probably won't go well. But, the Trade Week, I think it's worth us quickly having a look at it. There's a lot to get through today. And by the way, welcome back to everyone out there.
Yeah, we've missed you guys. Can I tell you? We really have.
We're not about frequency of videos.
They know that.
We kind of
join the dots on that.
But no, it's good because it gives us a chance to absorb and to bring together a whole range of interesting stories, which we will share with you today. So grab a cuppa, pull up the sofa, turn on the heater, light the fire, asked the missus to go, and let's get into it. Trade week was fascinating.
Was it?
And we came out of it with some very interesting options. So let me just quickly go through this. We started with, I think, pick 9. Well, it was pick 8, then got shifted to pick 9 as a consequence of St Kilda's compensation pick for the Membry trade. They took our pick 8, so St Kilda have picks 7 and 8. Now we moved out to 9.
Right.
And I think we had 28 or 27, I can't remember, or 29, something like that.
Right.
Not a lot, to be honest,
Right.
not a lot. And then the dilemma we had, of course, was our academy player, our NGA player, Isaac Kako, who we're very keen to bring into the team and will bring into the team. Probably rated around 15 in the draft, thereabouts. A lot of people had him at about 10 to 15. Some had him at up to 20.
It's very unscientific, though, that whole sort of process. Let's face it.
That is true. That is true. But I think generally speaking, he wasn't seen as being a pick 9.
Right.
And so the problem we had is if anyone came for Kako a little earlier in the draft, say, for example, St Kilda, and using their bonus pick that they got for Membry, which was pick 8, that would have forced us to then match the bid under the drafting rules, and that would have required us using our pick 9 to grab Kako. I won't go into the details. I'm sure a lot of people are confused about how the point system works and draft deficits.
Trade capital.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's plenty you can read about it, but in effect, I think the club decided rather than risking the chance that we would have to use pick 9 to get Kako, we would prefer to get a whole lot of lower draft picks and use those to match any potential bid, which we now can do because we traded away our pick 9 to Melbourne for a lotto draw of late round, third and fourth round picks that, when combined, will match any bid for young Isaac Kako, but we got Melbourne's future first round pick for next year.
So that was the sweetener.
It's more than a sweetener. I think we still get 2 first-round draft picks,
right,
but we're not throwing away one on a player who's, probably more around a pick 15.
Right.
So next year we get Melbourne's first-round draft pick, and I think next year Melbourne are probably not fancy to be any more than bottom half of the ladder, so that could be a pretty valuable pick for us.
But isn't the issue that this year was considered the hot year from a draft perspective, and next year really is in the don't know what we're going to get basket?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly true. I think this is considered to be the best draft class for several years. But don't forget, we're getting a player that is a need player. We need a really good, high-quality small forward. Isaac Kako has demonstrated that he can be that player. How good he can be is yet to be seen, but he's in that Nick Watson mould.
God. That's great.
No, God. I mean, Nick Watson's already a cult hero.
Yes.
I think we're very good. I think we've done very well because we're getting a first-round player in Kako anyway, and then next year we'll have 2 pretty good draft picks to play around with in the 25 draft period. So
you're confident he's worth chasing?
Oh, look, I think so. I mean, let's be honest. How many great small forwards do we have down at the hangar?
It certainly has been required. Is he a good kick?
He's all right. I mean, he does the job. He. Why did you ask me that? Just because I mentioned in passing that he was not a great kick. I don't want to ruin it for people. Okay, he's a good enough kick.
Okay, all right. Okay.
So Kako will he will be playing for the Bombers next year, and I'm really excited to see how he goes.
Right.
So other than that,
so
of course,
you think that was, sorry, before we move on, because I always think there's a winner and a loser in a negotiation, and people are saying this has been a win-win with this Melbourne deal, with us getting this sort of first round pick next year. Do you see it that way?
I do. Okay. I do.
Right.
I think Melbourne have established. I think Melbourne have 2 picks in the top 10. They've just, they're going through a few challenges themselves with their list. So I think, for Melbourne, it's probably a part of a sort of a semi-rebuild for them. And they give up next year's first round pick to us,
right?
And possibly not as good a draft. So we shall see.
Okay.
But look, I think the value for Essendon next year, if I may just speculate for a minute, let's just say,
all right,
next season Essendon and Melbourne finish in the bottom 6.
Right.
There's every chance that could happen. That would give us 2 picks in the first 6, maybe even in the first 4, depending on how bad the results are for both teams. There's also a lot of talk about Adelaide coming for Sam Draper in the free agency.
True.
I'm not going to say whether I'd like to see Sam Draper stay or go, but let's just say he was tempted to go back to Adelaide as a free agent.
It is his hometown, right?
It is. That would probably trigger a compensation pick, a first round compensation pick for us. So we could very well have 3 picks in the top 6, top 7 next year in the draft. So as everyone I think knows, the clear strategy from a list management perspective with Essendon at the moment is they want to go young. They want to build the squad up, give more of the young kids a chance, and I think we'll go through some of the players that have been culled from the list.
Right.
And a lot of those are sort of more of the senior players. So I think there's no doubt that Brad Scott and the powers that be down at the hangar have decided we're going to move towards a younger list and start to develop some of these kids a bit more. So that's something to look forward to, I think.
Right. So 3 picks in the top 10. So much like 2020.
Next year. Potentially.
Yes.
Potentially.
Right.
Yeah, not like 2020. That 2020 draft was a bit of a disaster, I think, for everybody, really, because that was the COVID year.
Right.
That was the COVID year. So most of the kids that were drafted in 2020 hadn't played footy all season.
Yeah.
And so it was a bit of a mystery who was a form player that season. They had nothing to go with.
Okay.
So 2020 was a bit of a miss.
So the club is going young, and the talk is that there's a 3-year plan put together by Matt Rosa, Brad Scott, and Craig.
I thought they were 8 years, weren't they?
So no, this is a 3-year recruitment.
Oh, so we got a 3-year
according to an article
within the 8 years.
In the age, yes, and the 3 year starts from now.
That's handy. That's handy.
So yes, they're going young. They're not
forever young.
They're not going the older players, which I suppose was a little bit of the strategy last year.
Yeah, look, it was. But I think they now realise that this list is not going to win anything, certainly not next year. And we have to start investing in youth, whether it's just bringing up and developing our own guys or starting to attract some of these younger guys in, say, next year's draft. So, look, all in all, I think it's been a pretty good draft outcome. The other one, I think, is Jake Stringer we need to talk about.
Yes.
Return to sender. That package is no longer required.
No, and seems like he was happy to go as well, seems like.
Don't know if he's happy, but he's probably given a pretty clear indication from the club that you probably should look for a different team.
Right.
I don't really know the depth of this situation in terms of what's really happening behind the scenes or what happened behind the scenes with Jake Stringer. Do you have any ideas on that?
Well, I don't, but I would have thought, if it were me, you got to go live in Sydney. Nothing against the city, but, Western Sydney. So, yes, it's a 2-year deal on the table, but wouldn't you want to back yourself and just stay at Essendon? You got to uproot the family, move them over, find somewhere to live, all the annoyances that come with that. Stay at Essendon. So that would suggest perhaps that he was perhaps told that his services were no longer required. I would have thought.
I think so. I don't know whether it's to sort of it ties back to the Nick Hind bringing serial killers into the dressing rooms.
Allegedly.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he could have been a serial killer of blowflies. I have no idea. But I think Jake was mixing with the wrong crew. Not that he's a grown man. He can hang out with whoever he wants to, but likewise the football club can also say, hey, we want to go in a different direction. So look,
but that said, like Joe Danaher, who is now wearing a premiership medal after making the big move, maybe things may pan out for him with GWS being much closer to a premiership window than the red and black, and so
he already has a premiership medallion.
Yes, he does. He does, and he might be able to jag a second one.
Well, look, I hope for him he finds whatever success that he can get out of GWS. They'll have a pretty decent forward line next year. If Jake can do it again, I'm not sure he can. I think we all know he's pretty inconsistent. He has one good season, then a couple of bad years. He had a great season for us, relatively speaking. Will he do it again?
I don't know about great, but yes, he was the number one goal scorer with 42 goals, and many people have been saying, well, we've got to replace those.
Yeah.
Not easily, but most, because I think we ran a poll.
Yes,
and
we
most
did.
sort of seem to agree that.
I think 60% were disappointed to see Jake leaving the club.
Leave or stay?
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Keep talking.
I think it. I think the consensus was that perhaps we had to look to the future, and so even though this year he was our top goal kicker, I think Cole Langford was at 41, but with 42 goals.
Disappointed.
To
no, it was who? Will you be delighted or disappointed if Jake Stringer remains a Bomber?
Yeah, right. Okay.
60% were disappointed.
Right.
If he remains a Bomber.
Right.
So
Jeez,
what did I
is that
say?
a more convoluted poll
Right.
question? Jeez.
The numbers don't lie.
Just next time, can we just say Jake Stringer, stay or go? Just do that.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been as poetically beautiful, but okay, we could do that. But no, 60% of people would have been disappointed had he stayed. So I think there you go. I mean, Jake, I don't think the fans ever bought into Jake. He had some great moments with the Bombers, of course.
Oh, definitely. He really gave us some good
that
moments.
Easter Sunday special, which he delivered against GWS, I think it was.
Yeah.
That torpedo from 60 metres out.
It was beautiful.
At Marvel.
It
so
was.
good luck, Jake. We wish you all the best. Thank you for being a Bomber.
Thank you for your service.
And good news is, if any of his kids grow up to be decent footballers, boy or girl, we get them because he played over 100 games for the Bombers.
Right. So yes, well, that is good.
Yep.
But in the end, what we received for him, do you think we got a good deal, fair deal, or poor deal?
Yeah. What if you're telling the world that your car is an absolute lemon? It breaks down every 50 kilometres, but you're putting it on the market and hoping someone's going to buy it.
Right.
With everyone knowing that your car's a lemon, what sort of price are you going to get for it?
Yeah, but it's racy. Let's say it's Alfa Romeo S.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Yeah, gee, I don't think Jake's that bad. But
It has some. That's harsh, but it has some good racy moments for the highlight reel.
No, but my point. My point is that the football club made it known that he was not wanted. So yeah, of course you're not going to get a great offer for him. So I think in the end, GWS gave us 53. I think that the other option was 56. So we got 3 better.
Marginally better.
But, that's it. You want to tell the world you don't want the guy at your football club. Don't expect a great offer for him.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, he's 30. Right. He's 31 next year.
Okay.
Notoriously inconsistent. I think we just take the 53 and move on.
Okay.
And hope wish him all the best.
Well, we did. So let's talk about the who's leaving.
So I think this is interesting. Just further to this discussion, a lot of players have been chopped or have left voluntarily. So just looking through the list, sadly, this news only broke yesterday.
Right.
The Weed has gone. He was asked very politely to clear out his locker.
Right.
And make his way out the front door.
Right.
So thank you, Sam, for 2 seasons and 17 games with the Bombers wearing John Coleman's number.
Right.
That breaks your heart a bit.
It was. But in the end, we didn't pay too much for him. So was that just a...
Well, apart from my mental health.
Yeah, true.
Do you remember the run of 15 games in a row he had last season when we were all just going, when can this end?
Yeah,
when can this end? So, no, but in all fairness, he's an AFL footballer. He was a top 10 selection in his draft year, so just goes to show top 10s are not always so great.
This is my point.
I knew you would say that.
We get all excited and worked up, but really...
Yeah. Peter Wright was a top 10 too. Yeah. Okay. It gets worse.
All right.
Nick Hind, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I don't know what Nick's going to end up doing. He'll probably play a little bit of
What memories has he left for us, just out of interest?
Well, I think the enduring memory now is the friends he keeps, but unfortunately.
Right.
But
anyway. Yeah. Well, you know what other memory leaves for me is that moment down on the bench.
Oh, when he snubbed
mid-game, yes, when Ben Rutten was trying to have a word to him, who was also sitting down there and wouldn't turn around, wouldn't face him.
But he physically moved, didn't he?
No eye contact.
He sort of shifted a little bit away.
Yeah.
As if to go, oh, poo, you smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was never a good sign, was it?
No,
really?
I mean, that was pretty distasteful from Nick. But anyway, thank you for your service. Kane Baldwin, unfortunately. Kane has several injuries. I think a navicular injury in his foot kept him out of the team this season or last season. I suspect he will be asked to come back and maybe rookie listed.
I hope so.
Kane, I think so too. I think he deserves it. I like Kane Baldwin.
Yeah.
I was sorry to see him being delisted. Jake Kelly pulled the pin. Had enough.
Yep.
I think, unfortunately for Jake, he's had some issues with concussion, and the writing was on the wall. Time to pull up stumps.
Yeah.
So thank you for two
Jake.
or three seasons of contribution to the Bombers.
Yes.
Previously with Adelaide, of course.
He was.
And his dad is the CEO of Collingwood. Tex Wanganeen, unfortunately, Tex, living in the shadow of his great father, just couldn't make it work.
Can be a burden.
It can be. I thought Tex showed some glimpses, but in the end, just probably not. The AFL lifestyle wasn't for him.
Right.
And Jaden Hunter, who was a mid-season draft from 23, injured.
Yeah.
Perpetually injured. And
we got
unfortunately,
a little excited when we came along, didn't we?
Yeah.
Got a little excited.
So he's Toodaloo. And that's 8 players out the door. That's quite a few. And there's still a couple of weeks to go until I think the final lists are lodged with the AFL. So there could be some...
You think the clean-out could continue?
It could.
There's a bit left.
There is a bit. I wouldn't want to be Jaden Laverde, but I believe he's on a contract.
Right.
They did try to offload him during the trade period, but no one was interested.
No takers?
Dylan Shield hangs on for another year.
He does.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, was that the fact that there were no takers? Was that
You would think so. I think Dylan Shield came into the side towards the end of the season this year.
Made a decent
and
contribution.
Was not too shabby. But is he the future? I think, no, he's not, obviously, but to have that experience in the team, not such a bad thing. So that's it. I mean, we've got a fair bit to sort of fill the holes, and I'm sure it'll be interesting to see how we in fact do that, given that we don't have a lot in the bank come draft time, and particularly if we have to match the Kako bid. So it'll be interesting to see how the Bombers go with that. They might have to pick up a few in the pre-season draft and some of these sort of supplemental periods or whatever they call them. But a bit of work to do there.
Were other clubs trying to wind us up by sort of hinting at potential interest in Kako, do you think? They're just screwing with us?
Yeah, but I mean, why would they do that? That's been floated that St Kilda dropped some sort of comment in the media to say that they would be interested in a player like Kako, I think, and that's sort of that's spooked the Bombers a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Kako just slides all the way back to the Bombers' first pick 28, because most clubs know that they'll just match them. The issue is, will clubs force Essendon's hand just to make sure they pay market value for the guy, rather than letting him slide down to sort of pick 28, which would be an absolute bargain.
That'd be nice.
I'm sure someone's going to just jump in and bid for him to force Essendon's hand to make them match the bid. We'll see how we go. Draft nights, I think, in November. Is it 30th of November? So about a month away.
Okay, all right.
Looking forward to that already.
Yes.
And we have a big special plan for that.
Do we? Yes.
Not yet. But
okay.
We will.
All right.
Okay.
So what do we want to? What do we want to cover? Well, I was going to talk about the very controversial issue of membership prices, but I think maybe before that, whilst we're still talking about the team and the team makeup, do you want to talk about who you see hitting the ground, top 23?
Oh, right, we did
in 2025.
Yeah, look, I had a bit of a think about this morning before being driven into the studio.
Right.
And
what sort of vehicle was that?
Look, I'm going to read this out now, but we will put this up on the screen so people can sort of pause and just soak it all up.
Analyse it.
I'd like to get some feedback. I think it would be great to get everyone's comments on this.
Yeah.
It's early days, of course, but I think given that we're not going to be major players in the draft period this year, the team, and we know Kako's coming in, we pretty much know what the list will be, more or less. So I'm just going to read this out, starting from the full back line, as they say in the old terminology.
Yes.
So I'm going with the back line of Ridley, Mackay at fullback, and McGrath in
lovely.
the back pocket.
Very nice.
And then we've got the 3 R's across the half back line.
Always a good thing.
Redmond, Zach Reed will come and will be an amazing player. And Archie Roberts, who I thought was really impressive, I think will step in across that half back flank. And some of you are going to say, but what about Martin? I hope Martin is not playing on the half-back flank next year.
Okay. All right. Very good. I love the alliteration.
Across the centre line, we've got Dersmer on one wing.
Yep.
Merritt in the middle, of course. The pivot. and Martin on the other wing, which I think is his best
Love
position.
it. Love it.
His foot skills, and he can move the ball into the forward line very well.
Right.
And get forward himself to kick goals, which we know he is also quite adept at. Half forwards.
Yes.
Perkins, Archie, this is your time, my friend. There's no more excuses. With Jake now gone, Archie's got to become that player. Is he going to be able to do it? Can he score for us 30 goals, a minimum of 30 goals from a half forward flank? This is your time, my friend. I've got Peter Wright at centre half forward.
Interesting. Very.
Why?
Well, I think we know why. Don't try and squeeze negativity out of me.
Okay, no, you're quite correct. You're quite correct.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Gresham on the other half forward flank.
Right.
And then in the front forward position, the forward line, we've got young Isaac Kako. I've got him in. Straight into the team. I mean, your options other than that is Menzies, Guelphy and Davey. So I think he'll walk straight into the team. Caddy at full forward.
Okay.
Yep, and I would like to see Nate Caddy get the number 10 jumper now that the weed's gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, that's a nice touch.
Yeah, I'd like to see that happen.
Okay.
And our great friend King Kyle of Langfordia will be in the other forward pocket. Draper in the ruck, Caldwell and Durham at the centre bounce, and then on the interchange bench, Nick Bryan.
Okay.
Benny Hobbs.
Love it.
One of your favourites.
Yes.
Jonesy will be there.
Jonesy.
Yep. And my boy Coxie.
Oh, really?
The sub will be Thart El Holly.
Yes.
Who I'm very excited to see play next year. And then you've got fringe players like Sartis, Menzies, Guelphy, Hayes, Davey, Lual and Visentini. They won't be playing too much senior footy next year.
Right.
Sartis is the one we'd like to see come on, but he still has a bit of work to do.
Right.
So that's my starting 23 for next year. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Give us your comments. In the main, I would agree. I mean, I don't know. I would have thought El Hawley's probably more advanced than, say, Cato.
Well, it'd be him and Roberts possibly. They would swap off that half-back line.
I get the position situation. In the main, I would agree with that. And, sometimes when you present it to me like that, all this
You're getting excited, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. That's what happens. See what happens? Because all this talk thus far has been Essendon will probably sit somewhere between 11th and 14th next year. Don't expect much more than that. But then when you present it like that and package it up with a nice bow, it's like...
Right. Peter Wright at centre half forward, sending shivers down the spine of every defender in the AFL.
Dare to dream,
look,
dare to dream.
Pete has had a couple of off seasons. Of course, he had his bad shoulder injury in 23. Then this year, an interrupted season as a consequence of that suspension after the Sydney Swans game. Seemed to throw him. Look, he's never been the most physical player, and I think that suspension, when he actually was trying to be a little more physical, really did have messed with his head a bit.
Do you think it did? Maybe. But it comes down to whether you believe with him it's the way we're delivering the ball into the forward 50 or whether it's the way he works his forward craft and that's what is letting him down. Whatever camp you sit in, it will determine what you think about his position.
He's been playing league football for, 9 years? I don't know. He is what he is, right? He is what he is. Peter Wright, on a lead, without any physical pressure, can mark the ball, and he's a fantastic kick. If we could, and that's why I'd like to see him playing around centre half forward. Give him some more room to move, and get him on a lead. Get the guy on his own, one-on-one, and I think he'll be a much better option for us then. When he's standing down there at full forward and he's got, it's a much narrower part of the football field, and he's going to get players hanging off him, a lot of more the defenders coming at him. I don't think he's an effective player. So we'll see.
He is. I think. Do you agree? He's the best kick in the side.
He's one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic kick of the footy.
Just a shame he can't get his hands on that pill.
So you've got to think, if Peter Wright can mark the ball 50 times in the season in the forward 50, even outside of the forward 50,
right,
he's a real chance of 35 plus goals. Just off 50 attempts. because he's that accurate. So, this is what we've got to be thinking is how do we make the most of his skills? He's not a great contested mark. He's not good when the players are all over him, the big defenders are all over him. We've got to work out a way of getting him on his own, on a lead, and get the ball to him around that 50-metre line, because no one in this competition kicks the ball as well as he does from outside of 50 metres. Right. So he's a weapon if we can use him correctly. I think that's why Caddy playing deep in the forward line at full forward could create a bit of havoc down there, frees up Peter Wright, and hopefully with Stringer now out, that gives them both a bit more room to move. I'm interested to see how it plays out, but that's my view for the forward line.
It's a very big if. I think many will say that in the comments.
Of course they will.
That's a big if.
Of course they will. I think the defence is looking pretty solid. Reid is the question mark. Zach Reid, I mean, the kid hasn't played a game of footy for like 6 years, but we've still got to hope. He is a player that has enormous potential. If he can come on, hold down that centre half back position, give Ben Mackay a bit of support, frees up Ridley. Ridley had a pretty poor season, has had some injury issues. But if that all sort of works and falls into place, I think we're good down back. And then Lewis Hayes is in the background as a developing tall defender. So
sure.
And our midfield is pretty solid. I mean, we've still got Parrish, still got Merritt, quality players, and the emerging Durham and Caldwell.
Yeah.
Potentially Hobbs, potentially Sartis.
Yes.
Indeed. Setterfield signed on for another year too. Yeah. So he's still in the background and a decent player. I mean, he's a role player for us, I think. So are we going to be the basket case that everyone's predicting? Look, I don't know. I don't think we're going to be finishing any higher than probably 14th, 13th on the ladder next year.
Wow.
But building.
That's inspiring.
Yeah. Thoughts? None. Okay.
None. I feel like I've just listened to a TED talk.
I've spoken way too much.
Yes.
This is arguably this is boring out of me. So why don't you take us down a different and more interesting path?
No, I thought we should touch on what is very dear to the heart of the faithful, and that is the membership prices and the timing of that price hike. I think it was an increase of $750 to.
Oh, it wasn't an increase of $750.
No, from $750 to $900
for a silver
membership. Yeah, which I think was about 20%. A lot of people up in arms. A lot of people commenting on our channel that the timing was all wrong there with that, but the club, I think, saying that they were just bringing things into line with other clubs. But off the back of the way that we ended the season, it just seemed a little tone deaf. I know they have to protect their revenue stream, and I know cynically perhaps that the club just sort of thinks, well, we're just part of this whole AFL show. We just got to field a club, pay the bills, get some sponsors. We're one of 18 characters. We used to be more popular than we are now, but that's really the main thing is, we're running a club here. We're trying very hard for on-field success, but I don't know. It just felt like bad timing to me.
Well, I equate it to a restaurant that's had a salmonella outbreak putting its menu prices up.
Yeah, nice analogy.
Yeah. Look, definitely didn't read the room, but I'm sure they had planned to increase the prices well before our capitulation, second half capitulation. I think many Essendon supporters had already stated categorically in various social media, I ain't renewing my membership. But then to have a price hike come out like that was almost like saying, I probably won't renew it on the price alone. $900. I mean, if you're taking the family to the footy, that's a big investment, right?
Yeah.
That's your overseas holidays right there, and not counting the cost of buying food and getting there and parking your car and everything. It becomes an extremely expensive pastime. So I think the winners of this will be Kayo and Fox and all of the the streaming platforms that broadcast AFL football, because I'm sure a lot of people will go, you know what, I think I might just get a subscription to one of those.
I think they will. You know what I'd love to see is a club come out and have success-based memberships.
Like a Stringer contract.
Well, yeah, triggers. You know what I mean? So Okay, if we're gonna deliver mediocrity, big discount. If we make the 8, there's a kicker. If we make the grand final, well, that's going to cost you.
Mortgage your home.
Yeah. Give us your children.
Yeah. You're
Basically.
right. You're right, testicle.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Has that got any legs? Or
Yeah, I reckon
total idiocy.
That's kind of going to go down like a cup of cold sick. I don't know. I think that would be brave. I don't think the AFL would back that somehow.
You don't think?
No. It's an interesting idea. I think there should be reward for, continual membership. So if you've been, you get a badge that you can stick on your beanie which says 5-year member.
Yeah, right.
I mean, how about giving me a discount? I think that's something I'd prefer to see, is the club saying, we've got to put prices up, but if you come along for the ride, we will look after you.
Yeah, that's along those lines.
But we're businessmen, right?
You get something for the love that the unrequited love, let's call it.
Yeah.
You need to get something for that.
Yeah, not a birthday card from Dale Tapping. Yeah, I mean, thanks, Dale, but yeah, really?
Because you just keep dishing out. You get no love back.
No, you don't.
No love. It's an abusive relationship. We've said it before.
A strippergram from Rish and Rath. Now, talking about Dale Tapping, Dale Tapping, which I'm sure you have no idea who I'm talking about.
I know exactly who Dale Tapping is. Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm very impressed.
Jeez, don't tell me.
Look, I'm not having a go.
I know you think my knowledge is quite shallow. It's kiddie pool-esque. I know you think that.
I don't.
And it is
that.
generally, but I happen to know who this guy is.
Okay.
Anyway, all right, go on.
What's he doing?
Yeah, VFL coach.
Okay,
right.
well played.
Okay, well done, Dale.
Man.
Good to have you involved.
So
we need to give the VFL side a bit of love.
Yeah, so the Bombers have released a press statement in the last couple of days announcing the new coaching structure, which of course we're all thrilled about.
Right.
And that involves, Dale Tapping moving across to the VFL because Blake Carousel has left the club. Young Blake, although his son Noah might be an option for us sometime in the future.
Right.
But Dale Tapping is the new VFL coach, to be supported by none other than Ricky Dyson. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, number 2.
The great left footer.
With a plum.
Yep, the great Ricky Dyson coming back to the club as assistant VFL coach. So welcome back, Rick.
Welcome.
All is forgiven. Now, also looking across at the broader coaching, of course, Brad's still the head honcho.
He is.
Hey, Brad, how are you doing?
He is.
Had a great night with Brad at the Brownlow. Not really. He's kind of snubbed me.
Yeah.
But
was he just was he measured in his response?
I think his media manager down at the club said, "Don't talk to him."
Right.
Current head of football development, Cam Roberts, will move to the forwards coach role. He will be the one trying to teach Peter Wright how to mark.
Right.
Jan Siracusa is with the club still.
He is.
Yeah, despite probably desperately trying to get out for the last 5 years. He's still there.
I think he has been, actually.
I don't know. G has stuck around for the love of the club. He's the midfield coach. Brent Stanton is back again.
Right.
He's heading up stoppages.
Is he?
I don't know what that exactly means, but anyway, he
head of stoppages.
He is.
How did we go getting Lepich?
Not well. Ben Jacobs, Benny Boy, will be coach of the defensive group, the defence.
Right.
And then you've got Mick Hurley, the Bear, and Travis Cloak.
What are they working on?
Well, they're both development coaches, so we're going to be putting our young talent in their hands, not literally, but...
Is it Travis Cloak that's sort of in charge of the kicking for goal?
I hope not.
Well, I mean, no, there might be a bit of offence, but I hope not. I really hope not.
Thoroughly captivating stuff, isn't it? I've just realised...
No one's watching.
I think you're right.
It's just, the test pattern. We may as well just put that up now.
David Rath. You know him well, of course.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Who's he?
He's coaching innovation. He heads up coaching innovation.
Coaching innovation.
So remarkable what they will pay people for these days.
Right.
And game day strategy.
Right. So he's the guy that'll say, Brad, do you want to go down to the boundary line?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'm done. My work's done. I'm out.
That's it. So he's there. So well done, guys. All pretty good packages, I'm sure. And thus the $900 salary, $900 membership.
No wonder. There's a lot of personnel there.
Yeah. Now, I want to get to the elephant in the room.
What
I really do.
What is there? Is there an elephant?
There is an elephant.
What is the...
it's not so much Essendon news, although there is a link to Essendon.
Right. And, before we get on to that, because last time at the Brownlow, you were a little coy in sharing your, incidents, intel from the night.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a toilet incident?
With Patrick Cripps.
Yeah.
Was it the Patrick Cripps?
Were you standing right next to him?
Yeah.
At the urinal?
Patrick stands back about 3 feet from the urinal.
That's understandable. You're a lot closer.
He's a big-bodied midfielder.
Right.
He's more than big-bodied. But Paddy, he has to stand back about 3 feet.
Right.
But that's all.
Wasn't he worried about them?
Oh, that was Nick Dacos. That was Nick Dacos. So I was speaking to Nick Dacos, and I said, Nick, you got to mate. Can't stop right now. As much as I love your show,
right?
Can't stop right now.
Right.
I've got to get back in before they lock me out, because they lock you out of the Brownlow count.
Right.
Once the show comes back from the television.
Right, once they're live again, they lock the rooms.
So
wasn't Patrick Cripps worried, given that he was...
Not so much.
Or he was that far in front?
Not so much.
He just knew that they'd just go find him.
Yeah, Paddy, he'd had a few beers that night, I think.
Oh, had he?
Yeah.
Okay, he's nice and relaxed.
It was a steady stream.
All right, okay, well, I'm glad I introduced that. Okay, let's keep going.
That was not rehearsed, was it?
No.
Okay, so let's talk about this one. I think everyone knows what we're about. This is big news. This is breaking news. It's happening now as we speak. All the media are across it. We're across it. We have inside knowledge of this story that no one else has. I'm not going to say anything. I'll let him say it. No. But what?
Okay, go on. All right, go on.
Well, I'm just building up the drama, the suspense.
Yeah, please. So,
the Barley scandal, the Barley football scandal, the AFL superstar legend that is Ricky Olorenshaw is back in town, and I believe the Bombers actually offered Ricky a job down at the hangar, looking after the spa down there,
right,
and the gym facilities. He's got a bit of experience in that area.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, it's an interesting story nevertheless. What are your thoughts on this?
Look, I don't know. It like the GWS Wacky Wednesday party that went awry. Apparently, I don't know. It was a private event, but the AFL's got involved, and there's sanctions and fines and
for what?
All sorts of stuff, because
they had this is their post-season.
Yeah, it was
Mad Monday type thing.
I think so, and so it's been built up all out of proportion. Someone apparently was upset with some of the goings on there, and some of the there was dress ups, and not happy with some of the
just what sort of dress ups. I'm sorry, I'm not across this one.
Well, I'm not I'm trying to piece the details together as well.
What they were wearing.
Yes, so the deal. You come in character, and I think the theme was dubious couples or odd couples.
Odd couples.
And someone went as the Twin Towers. And that was considered in poor taste.
Not the Lord of the Rings Twin Towers, I'm guessing.
No. This was more New York-based Twin Towers.
Too soon.
Apparently it is.
Yeah. Well, especially if one of them got really drunk and fell over.
Anyway,
not a good look.
It was like My point
what else does someone have?
My point is, I don't make me go into it.
What would make you go into it?
I don't know. Well, someone, one of
sounds like
the black players.
Gee,
can you say that?
No.
How do you? All right. Well, because I don't know what his ethnicity is exactly, but dark skinned.
Okay, fair enough.
He went as his favourite character from his favourite movie, Django Unchained. Apparently, this is all hearsay. I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously. And he went as one of those characters. And
so a black guy went as a black guy. Let's just say it as it is, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay. What's the big deal?
He did.
He's allowed to.
Yes, and apparently he even got permission from others before he went and did that. Can you believe him having to go and get permission? But anyway, he did.
He got into trouble?
AFL are outraged on his behalf.
Oh. We are so hurt and stressed.
Apparently, again, we weren't there. This is all just stuff that we've heard second, third hand. Who knows?
Is there a dress code? Is that something the AFL has to now issue for these end of season parties? These wacky Wednesday mad.
the synopsis is that a lot of the humour or attempted humour was considered in poor taste. Now, please, these are footballers, okay? They know how to kick some leather that's been inflated with air around a large green field. Are we expecting too much? Sometimes the stuff that they do is going to be funny, like Geelong players and their end of season.
This is a private function, right?
It was.
Right.
So, you know...
They weren't walking down Pitt Street Mall as Django Unchained.
No, they were not. No.
Do we still have dwarf throwing? I think the Saints were famous for that, weren't they? I mean, I'm not condoning it. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, no, there was a bit of a...
I know that
there was some outrage
kicked the dwarves off the Snow White film.
Because of that. But I don't... How did I introduce that? What was going on there?
Well, we were going to talk about the breaking news story, but you went to Wacky Wednesday.
That I went to... No, there was none of that. But no, there's been barley, and that's just... A loose Essendon connection.
It is.
One of the but let's just drag it up anyway.
But for whatever is happening in the universe, if there's a link to a bad story with a footballer attached, it had to be an Essendon player
on the front page, splattered over there, dressed up as Hugh Hefner.
The most outrageous part about this story is the fact they're referring to Ricky Olorenshaw as an AFL great. You know, what's going on there?
Think he was
77 games suggests that he wasn't.
Part of our premiership side, if you don't mind.
Fine, okay. Yeah. No, we love Ricky. He was a fantastic player for a short period of time. Yeah.
So, look, apparently he had an involvement in a place that offered massages.
Yeah. Like every football club, then.
But there was talk that there was other services offered on top of that.
Such as?
Well, shiatsu, remedial, hot stones.
Yeah, good. Nothing wrong with that so far.
And maybe some extras on top of that. Anyway, it has been very big news. Over there.
But Ricky's done nothing wrong, has he?
And here as well. No, he hasn't. But there were another Australian couple that running a similar type establishment that has been arrested and will probably get 12 years jail for allegedly offering offering services.
Yes, well, I mean, everything is allegedly at the moment, and we're not suggesting for a minute that anyone has done anything wrong.
But yes,
but it is what we're talking about is in the media. We're commenting on what we read. We're not making any of the suggestions or allegations that the media has already published. And I think, to be fair, the Australian couple in question have been arrested under the laws, the Indonesian laws preventing the operation of a house of disrepute.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know what you call it. Ill repute.
I don't know. But you know what? In general, from a business perspective, the massage space in Bali, it's a very crowded space.
Yeah, but I mean, massage versus what these guys were involved in, is there a difference though? I mean, surely there is.
It sounds like that there was.
Well, I'm just going to have a look at what they had on their. The services they were offering.
Are we really going to drill down this much?
This is quite literally this is the Pink Palace in Bali. I'm having a look at this is the board out the front.
Okay. This wasn't necessarily the one that our famous Essendon player had anything.
No, nothing to do with that.
To be fair.
Okay, service 2, mail service. Okay, sounds like Australia Post. To begin treatment includes stretching. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Traditional massage, fine.
Right.
Ooh, sensual body slide.
Right, okay. All right, things are rampant. Things are escalating.
This is a fully inclusive sensual service. Okay. $160. That's not too bad, actually.
No.
So, I don't think there's anything completely wrong with that. It's just adults being adults and having fun. It's fine.
Right.
Isn't it?
So...
No one's being exploited?
No, I don't think so. It just sounds like a bit of a side hustle.
Anyway, look, we probably are labouring on this one for too much, but I just think it's just annoying that one of the Essendon's ex-players is now associated with this. We get dragged into it by association, a little bit like Nick Hind and his friends.
Yeah,
we just can't take a trick at the moment.
It's the curse.
It is. Yeah, but anyway, look, good luck to Ricky. Don't go back to Bali in a hurry. He might get Chappelle's room up there.
Oh, yeah.
So
we
keep
don't know
away from that.
Again, allegedly.
Yeah.
We don't know. All right, okay, I think we've run that one
We
right
sure
into the
as
ground.
hell have.
Right
I've got
into the sand.
almost nothing else to say. Other than Dyson Heppel is going to be joining Port Melbourne and will play on with James Hurd as the director of coaching down there. So that might be the team for us to absolutely port. Absolutely the borough,
Let's
or
start
whatever
the
they
channel.
call them. Yeah.
Let's do it. Yes.
So good luck, Dyson.
Good on you, Dyson.
Yeah, keep
He's
it going.
Just, keeping it going. The show rolls on.
It does. Yeah, DH21. And I think it's great that he is going to continue playing, because I thought he was pretty good in his last game for us. He was one of the better players in that Brisbane game.
Absolutely. Went out with a bang.
He did.
A big bang.
So best of luck to you, Dyson. I think we can probably call that a wrap. I don't think you've... I've got nothing else, have you?
No, we don't. That is it for our off-season ramblings.
Wow.
Episode 1. There may be a few more. Will we be back after the trade? So, late November? Is that when it is?
We will be. We'll come back after the draft. And, look, guys, it's off-season for us too. So, as we've always mentioned, for up-to-the-minute news, Felix over at Everything Essendon. Always good for the latest and greatest.
He is your man.
We're more of your sort of editorial piece.
Right.
If you could
Deep
call it
dive.
that. Yeah.
Unnecessary deep dive.
So,
all right.
Until the next time.
Thank you very much for watching.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.